Dr. Raquel is our naturopathic MD. She's fantastic. She can fully integrate into any fertility journey. She can help you get ready for egg retrieval. She can help you go through an IVF cycle. Her protocols are incredible, very anti-inflammatory. She helps people clean up their diet, clean up their gut, clean up inflammation, and she's a wealth of information. So yesterday we had a user ask us about seed cycling, and I said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited Dr. Raquel's joining us on Tuesday because she's the expert at seed cycling, and we've talked about it a few times on this show. So that's what we'll start with. Yesterday, we had somebody that was on with Serena, and this is not something that IVF doctors know a lot about. Most of them don't know anything about it. So you have brought it up a couple of times and how much you love it. So start with, what is seed cycling?
Yeah, so seed cycling is pretty amazing because what it does is that it uses very specific seeds that correlate with times in our cycle that we might need, let's just say, estrogens to be dominant versus progesterones to be dominant. I'm going to actually make sure I tell you the specific seeds in just a second. But how it works is that at the first half of your cycle, you'll take either like flax seeds and like sesame seeds, and then the second half you'll take like pumpkin seeds. So what it does is that it correlates the time of the month with specific seeds. So it really helps to like balance those hormones.
I think it's amazing. And it's, you don't have to eat a lot. You were talking about, I think the last episode you mentioned a tablespoon a day or something, 2 tablespoons a day, right? Not a ton of seeds per day.
Right.
Okay. Is there a good resource that you...
About a tablespoon a day.
Okay, just a tablespoon a day. So it's not going crazy, everybody. We're just, I don't think that you even eat those seeds every day for too long where you'll get bored, because as soon as 1 week is up, you're almost moving on to the next type of seed. So it's kind of a nice variety.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And how it typically works, I want to make sure. So the resource I use, I can't remember her name, but there's a doctor. If you Google seed cycling protocol, it's actually a free PDF that you can download.
Right.
And it literally tells you the correct seeds to use. So yeah, it's one of my favorite resources to use. My desk is like insane over here, but
I'm pulling it up. It's fine. I'm pulling it up. So
yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I really honestly, if people can like, really stick to it, I've seen like tremendous results from it for sure.
Amazing. So who's a good candidate for that?
So oftentimes a lot of patients that use seed cycling are like patients with PCOS, or people that might be experiencing like estrogen dominance. Oftentimes anyone that's having irregular menstrual cycles and they want to naturally regulate their cycles and their hormones is the perfect thing to use. And also, even if you don't have a cycle right now, so you're not having a constant cycle, so you don't know when to start phase 1 versus phase 2, you can use the moon. So it also uses moon cycles. So on the first full moon, you would start the first phase of seeds.
Oh, cool. Okay. I love that. So I just Googled seed cycling protocol and it comes right up on how to seed. So, that's amazing. My other question is, for those who are also taking an inositol product for hormone balancing, does this get in the way of it, or does it work? It's not going to hurt anything.
Right. Because inositol is a B vitamin.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So inositol is a B vitamin. So it won't interfere with like the lignans in the seeds and things like that.
Okay, got it. Does it do anything for insulin sensitivity at all, this seed cycling? Or is it just solely focused on it? Oh, good. Absolutely. Okay.
Because the coating of the seed, of course, has fiber. So that's another reason why it's so good for people with PCOS or estrogen dominance, because it really helps to like tie on to those toxins or excess hormones and push them out through your stool.
Oh, this is fantastic. Okay. Love this. All right. So Kate's asking, what if you eat pumpkin seeds in the first half of your cycle? So what happens if you do the opposite, right?
Right, right. So it's best to stick to the specific protocol because they have the seeds, because the seeds have specific hormones. So you really want to have the correct seeds to match the hormones that you need, because it's almost like saying in the first half of your cycle, you will be taking this exogenous progesterone, but that's not what your body does. In the first half of your cycle, your body's primarily using estrogen. There's some progesterone, but mostly it's estrogen. So if you swap the seeds, you're only further making your cycle irregular. So you're giving it a hormone it doesn't need in the first half.
Okay, so don't do that.
Right, right.
Don't do that. Just hold off on the pumpkin seeds, even if you love them. What about salted seeds? Is it something that you tell people just have the, plain, roasted, unsalted, raw? Does any of that matter?
No, not necessarily. It's more so like the nutrients in the seed.
Yeah. Because you're only doing, because you're only doing 2 tablespoons. It's not like you're doing 12 tablespoons of sugar or salt.
Yeah. And the easiest way like to have these seeds is going to be like on salads and smoothies, things like that, because you can just sprinkle them or just throw them in your smoothie and you won't even notice.
And you had mentioned that the importance of like grinding like a flaxseed, right? Like grinding them so that your body absorbs it.
Yeah. And I know at certain places like Trader Joe's and things like that, they have them already ground. So it's not an actual seed.
Yeah.
But it's super easy to incorporate into your diet.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. April is doing IVF treatment. So April, wherever you're doing your IVF treatment, we wish you all the best. I recommend following the Fertility Advantage, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay. I almost reversed it. Recommend following the Fertility Advantage because Dr. Raquel posts a lot of really encouraging educational material for like these types of topics. She'll post about just emotional inspiration and activity, nutrition, just about anything. So follow Dr. Raquel, April, so you have some support, extra support. And of course, if you need anything while you're going through your cycle, whether it is emotional support, second opinion support, or really anything, just get in touch with us and we're happy to be helpful. Ashley's already been struggling with infertility for 2 years.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
I know. This breaks our heart, Ashley. Have you gotten into Ford? Look at you with your fancy filter.
Did this make the screen big again?
It does. You just are like all up in my face when you do it. And then I feel like I need to do, I know they need to fix it. They need to fix it. All right. But
perfect.
It did used to. But one really good thing though, that they just rolled out that Serena told me last week, we can now have you, me, Serena, and Dr. Sherry all on one Instagram Live now.
Oh, that's nice. So they're doing like Clubhouse.
They're doing like Clubhouse a little bit. Exactly. You can have multiple hosts. So what I love about that is I keep telling you, I'm trying to position the 4 of us as like the newest, most modern version of the doctors.
Yeah.
So we got to get it. I'm going to get us a sponsor and everything.
Yes. That would be so cool.
So Ashley, what I want to know is, have you been to an infertility specialist yet? Have you gotten a full workup? It breaks our heart to see people struggling for that long and not having gotten a proper workup. So we just want to make sure that you're getting the correct amount of lab work done, scans, holistic workup. And it doesn't, your first step doesn't, depending on your age, doesn't have to be an infertility doctor. It could be a naturopathic MD like Raquel, who can, do her view first. It could even be an acupuncturist. But what we don't like to see is women at home struggling for so long and only getting kind of, information in a 7-minute visit from their OBGYN every year.
Yeah.
Amber is struggling with PCOS and endometriosis. Do you see success with seed cycling if you're dealing with both? I see so many women dealing with both.
I know. The biggest thing, something that I've learned a lot, just learning about endometriosis, like during this like awareness month and just like reading more about it, is how long women go without having their endometriosis properly assessed. So they might know like I have endometriosis, but they haven't had like a laparoscopy or something to really tell them the stage of endometriosis. So I always say that's first. A lot of times we just know, or we like self-diagnose, but the best thing is to, number one, get staging done by a doctor, because sometimes during the laparoscopy, they can remove some of the tissue. So I always say at the very root, before any interventions, you have to first make sure you do your due diligence and get the correct treatment, so that you're starting from a really good optimal space. But whenever I hear like conditions like endometriosis, PCOS, of course I think estrogen dominance, but I also think, you know, this is a pro-inflammatory like disease process underneath all of it. So it's going to be like some heavy compliance with the things that you're eating and supplements and things like that.
Right. You're so good at that. Eating, you know, being like approaching the whole body to reduce inflammation.
Yeah.
Where would she even begin? Keeping a food journal to maybe look and start to identify her trigger foods?
Yeah, I honestly, one of my favorite things to use is what is it called? My Fitness Pal. It's awesome.
Oh, right. I forgot all about My Fitness Pal. I used to do that too.
It's outstanding. It's outstanding. And I like it because it keeps you accountable. It's something on your phone, just like texting or getting on Instagram, but it's perfect because it's right at your fingertips, and you can enter things in and it immediately tells you all of the nutrients in that food. And sometimes we eat things, we're like, oh, I'm just having this, it won't affect me. But it really holds you accountable when it comes to like entering your foods in. So I love My Fitness Pal.
I notice my fingers will get puffy. You know, if I eat something or drink something that my body's like, no, we don't like that, my fingers, my wrists will get puffy. I'll just be retaining water.
Wow.
Yeah. What are some signs of inflammation that people might not know is related to inflammation?
Yeah. So one thing that I always hear when people are like chronically inflamed is this constant feeling of like bloatedness or fatigue. Or I always say pay attention to when you eat certain foods, how your body reacts. Like, because when you eat food, you're not supposed to feel like sluggish and like exhausted after. You should still feel energized, you know, and ready to take on the day. So a really big way to know if you are chronically inflamed is to like look at your digestion, you know, look at how you feel on a day-to-day, for sure.
Yeah, we have a whole episode on poop too.
Yes.
So just go the early days, go to our YouTube and check out Raquel's Fertility Tip Tuesday playlist. We have a great episode, which is what does your poop tell you about fertility? And I think it's a really important episode. You know, it's like, you know, one of the words that we should just easily talk about with our doctor and with, you know, our community, because it is very telling. I started, if you recall, Raquel, we have this microbiome research partner that has this awesome solution. So I got my microbiome results back from them, and they do functional RNA testing on the microbiome. Well, they roll out kind of a 3-step solution, one part being diet, another part being their custom probiotic, which I get tomorrow, and then another part being their custom nutraceuticals. So the meal plan, though, the first thing that stood out to me was they want to be eating 10 servings of vegetables per day. And I was like,
whoa, that's a lot.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. I mean, that's crazy. So I'm only focused on 10 varieties per day right now, because I was like, I don't even know if I can handle that much volume of food.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I'm noticing some positive changes in the morning by incorporating more vegetables than I was doing for breakfast. Because as you recall, I'm like an arugula fanatic, and it wasn't enough variety. I was doing it too often. So then adding some variety was making a big difference, but I'm tired as hell. So something's going on. I think I'm cleansing though. I think it's a cleansing. And when you're in cleansing, you know how you get so tired.
And you can feel it too. You feel when your body's cleansing, because you feel a little like run down, like fatigue. Totally. It's like, oh wow, okay, my body's getting rid of some things. So.
Yes, exactly. It feels like a detox. It very much does. Yeah. Does seed cycling help with diminished ovarian reserve?
Not that I know of. I never say never, but that's not the real purpose of seed cycling. The real purpose of it is hormone balance.
Right.
But yeah, not that I've heard of with DR, but it depends. I never say never.
if somebody has diminished ovarian reserve, we know that that they don't have the volume of eggs that we wish that they had. But the eggs that are there, is there something that she can do to ensure that the ones that are there are at least high quality?
Well, the most research that I've seen as far as improving diminished ovarian reserve is going to be with DHEA and CoQ. CoQ is one of the antioxidants that's very similar to NAD. So all of those are really, really good for improving like egg quality, oocyte quality, whatever you want to call it. But those have all been researched to really show like an improvement in the number and like the quality of eggs that you
got it. Okay. But somebody struggling with ovulation, that's sort of a perfect thing for seed cycling to see if you can balance hormones, release those eggs.
Yeah. Seed cycling is, let me say from my experience, I've never seen it not work. But when it comes to things like that, compliance is 98%.
Right.
You know, that's the biggest thing is it's like, oh, you can't have seeds like 2 days and then you forget 3 days and then you start back, because it's like now you have to start completely over because your body is adapting to this. So compliance, I would say, is a huge everything. Part of it for sure.
I can commit to eating a particular thing a particular time of day for like a certain length of time. I can do that. Where I could not be compliant was that basal temperature tracking. I mean, it was like 2 days in, I forgot, stepped out of the bed, and then you got to start all over. And then 3 days the next time, I forgot, stepped out of the bed, and then you got to start all over again. I was like, this is terrible. I was awful at it.
You're just not thinking about that.
No, not at all. You're like, not even, I wasn't even awake enough to be like conscious about it, you know? So seed cycling I could stick to though. Does it help when people are like even perimenopausal?
Not that I know of. Mostly, and I actually pulled up my document so I could like say things the right way. But not from my understanding. It's more so for women that are trying to regulate their menstrual cycle. Or improve like irregular cycles. But if you are kind of transitioning to no cycles at all, I don't know how helpful it would be.
Yeah, got it. Okay, great. Yeah. So if your progesterone is low, which seed would you eat for that?
So I'm glad I pulled this up so I wouldn't just be saying random things. So during phase 2, which is your luteal phase, we know that's when progesterone is the most dominant. So during that time, you would have sesame seeds, a tablespoon of sesame seeds, and a tablespoon of sunflower seeds.
Ooh, yum. And it's okay to eat them at the same meal. Like if you're having your lunch, put it on your salad. Oh, that sounds so so delicious. I love those seeds anyway.
Yeah. And I love this one protocol. What's her name? Her name is Dr. Nicole Jardim, but she actually has really helpful tips on the side, and it's free. It's totally free PDF. But she has to also add 500 milligrams of evening primrose oil. And it'll really help to decrease inflammation as well. So,
ooh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can ingest the primrose oil, like almost even make a salad dressing out of it.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people do capsules, but that's a really good idea.
I wonder how it tastes. How about we do a taste test?
How about
in 2 weeks, I just put a little on my tongue and we taste it.
Put it on some arugula salad.
Exactly. I'll let everybody know how it goes. Good. That with a little apple cider vinegar, make a little homemade.
That's all you need.
That's it. All you need. Exactly. Now, I think it would be super cool if people had the UVA at-home ovulation kit if they are doing this, and especially for our audience member with the low progesterone, because you could directly measure the impact, at least on progesterone. And sometimes even like the tiniest bit of elevation is enough to like make sure, okay, I released an egg, and you have confirmation of it. But since they do a quantitative measurement, you could actually see your impact 3 months in a row by doing it.
That's a good idea.
And is it the kind of thing that maybe because somebody hasn't been doing it before, they should stick to it for like 3 to 6 months or something? I mean, they shouldn't expect a miracle in month 1, right?
Exactly. Typically it takes about 3 months, but we do say between like 3 and 6 months.
Okay. I mean, that's going to be a fun calendar to put up on the refrigerator. I feel
Yeah.
like it's a little bit easier to deal with than like when you have to do your progesterone injections. So try that first.
Exactly.
Try it first. All right. How about somebody who's 34, no kids, struggling with PCOS and endo also? She also has high blood pressure. That's a lot to deal with.
That is a lot to deal with. And to me, the question is, what's the best thing to do or the best treatment?
Any suggestions? Yeah. Or
Suggestions.
what would you do first? How would you
Yeah,
approach her case versus like an IVF doctor?
Yeah, I would start at the root. I know I always say
Right.
that, but I would start with diet, because when it comes to high blood pressure, the things that we ingest is a large piece of the puzzle. And if you're ingesting foods with maybe a higher sodium capacity, it's not only contributing to higher blood pressure, but it's also affecting your PCOS and your
Right.
inflammatory cascade, so
15
contributing
minutes.
to more endometriosis. So yeah, so I would 100% say to not just take supplements or things like that. Like, to me, supplements are like an added benefit, but
Right.
the core of it all is finding a diet that works for you, because not every diet works for everyone.
Right.
And some people say like, don't use the word diet, but I think sometimes when you are shifting to a life change, having something to follow helps.
Yeah.
I really love like the Mediterranean, like their eating plan. And the anti-inflammatory diet. I love things like that because it really gives you like a schedule to
guidance.
Follow. When you don't have anything, it's like, I'll get this for breakfast, this for lunch. But if you don't have anything to follow,
right. I'll end up eating the exact same thing, all 3 meals every day for the week, if I don't have this goal of like, no, I need 10 different vegetables per day. And then I have to get really creative, and they're like, hey, why aren't you eating fruit anymore? I'm like, I don't know. My kid doesn't like fruit, so I don't really buy it anymore. They're like, no, you have to eat some fruit every day. And I was like, uh-oh, okay. I know. And so it just really forces you to like customize your shopping list to those parameters. And so, and also I think we get so busy during the week, we don't really want to think about it. And this takes all the guesswork out of it. When you are tired or whatever, you just sort of preemptively plan. This is what I'm going to eat and when.
Yeah.
We also, for her, we do have the genetics that shows the correlation between PCOS, insulin resistance, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and obesity, right? So you have all these things that are working within the metabolic syndrome realm. And it might benefit her to do our fertility wellness DNA kit. And I'm happy to send you a free kit, Amber. So just drop me a DM and with your address if you want me to mail you a kit. Because I feel like it helps just to understand that even though I'm genetically predisposed to X, Y, and Z, 70% of whether those genes get expressed or not is up to me. Right. So like we can feel so empowered by the food choices we're making because we understand that connection.
Yeah.
And it kind of removes that, no, it's not all your fault. Like, okay, you might have your vice, you might have this, you might have that, but really there's an underlying genetic predisposition to all of this.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. I remember taking, what was it? It was, nutrigenomics.
Yes,
class.
we did an amazing episode on nutrigenomics. That's also on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's amazing because it really does show how, yes, you might have a genetic predisposition for certain things, but the foods you eat largely influence that too.
Exactly. What you put into your body. So it's empowering because it's like, okay, I get it. This isn't a life sentence. My genes aren't a life sentence, but it's so informative. And like the stronger those signals are, the stronger you have to be around what you put into your mouth and how much exercise you get, right? The type of exercise even.
Yeah.
All right, Marina's getting ready for her first IVF cycle. Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Congrats. Yes.
Baby dust to you. We hope it goes really well. So, what are some best ways for her to prepare herself?
Yeah. I always say, number one, I know you have a plan like from your doctor. So you have a really good like fertility plan. It's always best to like really understand what you're undertaking. But like we just were saying about if you're going to change your diet, you don't want to do anything too abrupt. in my opinion, because I feel
Right.
like it's
Agreed.
already a very stressful process.
Yeah.
So you don't want to make yourself stress about getting through the process and stress about the things that you eat.
Yep.
So I would just say to really just make like conscious additions, you know, to
Right.
your diet. So just maybe swapping out your breakfast. If you have like a really fast breakfast the night before, just putting out a little bit of oatmeal, like something small like that. Or even if you know, normally have one thing for lunch, just starting adding more greens in, but no abrupt changes for sure, but
Right.
really stick to like that whole anti-inflammatory like protocol.
Yeah. And meditate and do a lot of self-care, a lot of nurturing, that bone broth that Raquel and I talk about all the time. We love our bone broth. Right. So, but it's supposed to be, and it's hard in this country because of the expense of it all to go about it in a relaxed manner. When we have so much of our finances tied up in the outcome, it's very hard to not be super stressed about it. Yeah. That's why we love acupuncture, right? Because you head into it with a literal physiological change from acupuncture that drains your cortisol, you know, calms your adrenals and does all that yummy stuff. Yeah. And that's why we love meditation and just self-care.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
This is the time to be good selfish. So April's with Dr. Fox in Jacksonville. He might work with one of our colleagues at MedAnswers, April, Dr. Carrie Sproul. I would think that they're at the same clinic, actually. Love that clinic. All right, let's see if we have any other questions popping up, waving at some new folks joining. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. So we do have someone diagnosed with unexplained infertility, which we hate that term because it's just not a diagnosis at all. Yeah. And it's as frustrating for us as it is for the doctors, Kate. So just know that the doctors hate it too, because they hate not getting to the answer. She's already had 4 failed IUIs. She's getting ready to do another IVF next month. So I think probably her question around diet and nutrition is the same as you've been saying, kind of for everyone, is like anti-inflammatory all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, when it comes to unexplained fertility, it's not that like she said, I hate that because it's only unexplained because no one's doing the real digging. No one's doing like any real work. So I would say if you are able to access either a naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine doctor in your area, 100%. Go that route because they're able to look at your body in a way that it probably hasn't been, you know, looked at before. So looking at those micronutrients, looking at your heavy metal exposure, things like that, to really get an understanding of why your body is reacting this way.
Absolutely, 100%. So Kate, hopefully that's helpful. What do you see as one of the biggest culprits of people's diet when they are presenting with a lot of inflammation?
Ooh.
Is it alcohol, white bread, pasta?
This is going to be like maybe a little controversial, but a lot of those quick bars that you grab from the store. So much hidden sugar in them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Just grab an apple or an orange.
Right. That's what I've been doing all week.
So much hidden sugar. And sometimes you don't notice. You might pick up a couple of bars. I'm not saying any name because I don't want to get sued. But people might pick up a lot of bars, or a lot of those like healthy cookies, right? And you think like, oh, this is healthy, and it's like, no, it's not. It's not. Yeah, real food all the way. That's what we're saying. Like real food. And you feel better. You feel so much better. Like, if you grab like a really good fruit from the store and have it with like a handful of nuts, you're like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
April is in that camp of trying to diet, did not work for her. And we understand that, you know, it's not a one size fits all. And unfortunately, figuring it out is a roller coaster in and of itself, right? I mean, we hear that, we see that all the time. We see it a lot with people who have PCOS because of the full body metabolic condition it is. But it's worth the journey to figure it out because it is a lifelong, there is no cure. Right. So even though it's such a hassle and it's such a headache and it's filled with so much frustration, hang in there. Yeah. And if you want to join me on eating 10 vegetables a day for the next month, please join my challenge.
That's an amazing challenge too. I love that.
Well, you know, I'm trying to like make it a little bit more palatable by just adding like 5 or 6 different vegetables to my morning eggs you know, for breakfast. So that is helping because, you know, you buy the prepared chopped onions. I throw in white and red. I make sure they don't get caramelized because then that's just going to be too much sugar.
Yeah.
I add some little bits of mushroom, cut up 4 tomatoes. I added some artichoke hearts because I love artichoke hearts. So that's already 5 different things right there. And then I put it over a bed of greens that has not my arugula, I'm taking a break, but it has spinach and those sort of field greens or spring greens.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So really, I'm getting a lot just in breakfast. I feel good for the first half of the day, and I have to step it up a notch for lunch and eat some more veggies.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we have a user of 2 frozen embryos and waiting to a transfer. Doctor wants her to be at a healthy BMI, also been diagnosed with hypothyroidism.
Yeah. And hypothyroidism presents a lot like PCOS.
Interesting.
Some of the symptoms for sure. But yeah, for sure. When it comes to trying to get your BMI down, the biggest thing is making sure, this sounds crazy, but making sure that your body has adequate fat. It sounds insane because you would think the opposite, but really your body really needs those fats. And what I've also seen to like improve BMI, help with insulin sensitivity, is exercise. So I know everybody is like on the Peloton wave, which I'm very jealous because I'm on Peloton.
Okay, I know. I do love it. It saved me during the pandemic.
Yes. But it's so important to not just, you know, focus on food alone. Food is important.
Right.
But when it comes to like really improving insulin sensitivity,
sure,
and
you have to move
those numbers, like having a really good exercise routine is super key, because what happens is those large skeletal muscles, like in your legs, they'll actually help to shuttle like excess glucose.
Right.
So so you really want to make sure you have a really good eating plan, but also a really good exercise routine as well.
And what I did too in the beginning of the pandemic is I bought those bands because they're so cheap on Amazon. And then you get access to all these videos on YouTube that show you how to use them. So if you can't do free weights, you're still doing conditioning, which can help build that muscle mass. So I do a ton of squats, a ton of work at the wall just to build up that muscle mass. And in the beginning, I always gain weight because muscle weighs more than fat. But if I don't do that, I drop too much weight because I'm losing the muscle mass so fast. So I'd rather have the muscles than not have them.
Yeah. And like we said earlier about having a guide, I think it can be so overwhelming when someone tells you to lose weight.
Oh gosh, okay,
where do I even start?
Yes.
And it's so important.
100%.
In those instances, you have to develop a plan.
Yes.
That's 100% is developing a plan, like really writing down in like a cute little journal from Target or any piece of paper you have to say, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk, a 30-minute jog, or pull up a 30-minute YouTube video.
Yes, exactly.
Having things like that, because then you'll see, oh, I could do 2 days. Then you could do 3 days. Then exactly. You could do 4. But you have to like really give yourself a plan and stick to it, because it's your date with yourself. Like this is the only body we get. So
it is. And also sometimes accountability partners help too. And now that, a lot of people are starting to get access to the vaccine too, we're finding out the CDC is recommending or kind of updating their guidelines that if you have 2 people who have been fully vaxxed, you can hug, you can work out together without your mask on. I mean, you can do a lot, so like find that buddy that can help you for sure. For me, I'm a little bit, which it's probably it surprises a lot of people, but I am more introverted the older I become. And so the Peloton also is really nice for me because I really hate going to the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, hate it. Like I went through a phase where I was going to dance class all the time and yoga studios and this and that. And I enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden I hit this wall and I was like, I don't want to be with strangers.
I'm over it.
I am. I don't want to work out with strangers.
Yeah.
No. So the Peloton has been fantastic for me.
I'm so jealous. The wait time at this point is just horrible. It's okay.
I don't even join like the live classes. People are like, who's your favorite instructor? I was like, I don't know. I just like get on the bike and ride. I don't like connect with people, you know. I'm such a Peloton introvert. So if somebody's having an off cycle this month and they want to start seed cycling, should they wait till the first moon to get started?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So if you have irregular cycles, you want to wait. So it says, I want to make sure I say it right.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you're not having regular cycles, you would start phase 1 of the protocol on the first day of the new moon.
Okay.
So you would start on the new moon, and then literally you're treating this as if it's your real cycle. So 14
Got
days
it.
later, yeah, 14 days later you start phase 2.
So cool.
It's super cool, and super efficient.
Yeah. Oh, Melissa's waiting for her uva to come. I have mine right here.
Nice.
It's here. Yes, I have mine. It was funny because mine went to my old house when I was moving. So my neighbor got the box. They changed the box, but my neighbor got the box, and it says,
I love the box.
I know, but it says the smarter way to conceive. So my neighbor, of course, frantically texts me. She's like, is there anything alive in here?
You're like, no.
They don't ship the sperm like that.
I know.
But Uva's doing an updated device too, an updated branding, just to make it a little bit more private on the outside. But that was a hysterical moment for me and my neighbor.
So fun.
Okay, what about vaginal dryness and bleeding 8 months after a DNC? Beautiful brown eyes. I couldn't find you, and I tried to. I have to capture. Let's see if I can take a screenshot. Okay. Oh, good. It came up. All right. I tried to DM you yesterday, beautiful brown eyes, and I couldn't find your handle after we had hopped off. So, and yes, I'm happy to mail you a kit. So yeah, vaginal dryness and bleeding 8 months after a DNC.
You know what? That's actually not uncommon.
Really?
I would definitely follow up with Dr. Chin, but what I've seen clinically is that sometimes all the tissue from the DNC, it wasn't removed.
Right.
That's more common than you would think. So I would, number one, say to reconnect with your OB-GYN or whoever did the DNC and have them to do another exam, to do like a transaction or whatever it may be, because oftentimes that's the culprit. But it's way more common than you would think.
Wow. Okay. What about intermittent fasting for PCOS? Have you seen any good results with that?
Oh, absolutely. I love intermittent fasting. The only thing that I will say, because intermittent fasting is so effective, is some people tend to cheat. So they'll still eat foods in the 8-hour window. So that's not helpful.
Oh, that's not good.
You can still lose weight. You
can
still lose weight that way. But I love it. I learned about intermittent fasting in med school when I was just super apathetic, just run down. And it helps a lot with insulin sensitivity, but also mental function, like off the charts.
Sure. I've heard that. Yeah. I can't do it if I drink coffee, because drinking coffee for me stimulates my hunger. Crazy, like hangry, you never want to see. So I could only do that if I commit to, like, I will not have any coffee, which the first week probably would be very painful.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have coffee. I still try to stick to it now. But it's tough when you're working from home, because you literally can get so caught up and it's like, oh wait, I need to eat. And you really only have that window. So you really want to make sure, like, you still have to eat all your meals. I think that's another misconception.
Oh, it's just in a compressed time frame. I didn't realize that part of it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's tough.
I had no idea.
You have to like eat like constantly.
Right. I had no idea about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But amazing for PCOS. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Now, someone's asking us about why does the anti-inflammatory work so well, or why is it best for some of those scenarios? I guess like the reverse of that is, what's the big deal about it being inflamed?
Right.
And eating the wrong foods.
Yeah. So the biggest thing about inflammation that I think more doctors and more clinics are kind of getting hip to is that when you are inflamed, not only are your hormones not regulated, but you also have not a really tough time, but it makes it harder for that embryo to implant into your uterine wall.
2 more questions.
So inflammation is way bigger than just the foods you eat.
Seconds.
It's way bigger
Dante.
than just like he's so cute. He's like, time up. Time up.
He is. He's our timekeeper. That's my 7-year-old, y'all.
I love it. I love it.
In my
Sorry, everybody.
Okay.
I'm blushing though. I know. I blush when he interrupts us.
No. But yeah. The biggest thing is that way beyond hormones, it really affects, if you're trying to conceive naturally, it affects the implantation of the embryo. And so if you're going through IUI, you understand how important this is. So it's more so about your reproductive health and, completely. And honestly, this wasn't something that was even considered to impact fertility at all. But now there's more research and people understanding like, no, inflammation plays a huge role.
Oh, wow. That makes a ton of sense. I mean, if you think about like getting an injury when it gets inflamed and how sensitive and tender it is. And if that's our uterus, an embryo is not going to implant in there,
Yeah, it'll be super irritated. And I saw someone like about like what are some of the foods or what is the anti-inflammatory diet. Now, what I will say first is Google is amazing, but also a little terrifying.
Exactly. It's why we came up with our company because it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's like, you'll see some things. It's like, wait, I got to pay $1,000. I got to pay it. No. The very basics is just like very healthy, proteins, making sure the proteins that you're getting are like wild caught organic. But just having really good proteins, filling up your plate with veggies and having a healthy fat.
Right.
Like the foundation.
Healthy fat like olive oil or coconut oil or avocado oil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super simple.
Yeah.
Super simple. You have to have a plan.
And real food. So, if there's a package that came from a manufacturer that says anti-inflammatory diet, they're lying.
It's wrong. Like, if you spent $1,000 for your supplements, throw them away.
Yes, exactly. No, of course. All right, couple more because Dante let us know that it's time to go. First, Adium, we're so happy you're here. We're so happy you discovered us and found us. Yeah, we love our newbies and we love our community. So just to remind everybody, we do these up to 4 times a week. Raquel is switching every other Tuesdays with an OBGYN, Dr. Sherry. Dr. Chen from IRMS on Mondays at 2 p.m. is going to start switching. So next Monday I have Dr. Spitz, who is, and if you don't know the sound of that, because you don't have a 7-year-old yet, that's Kids YouTube. That's the music. That's the music for Kids YouTube. And so next Monday I have Dr. Spitz, who wrote the penis book. No better name for a title of a book than that. You can't get clearer. And he's amazing talking about male factor. He's a huge proponent of plant-based diet for male fertility. And then the following week, I believe, is when Dr. Lucky from RMA New York starts. So we've got tons of guests rotating all the time now. Just check our calendar, check the schedule. It's all free. And if you have questions that we don't cover in a live, you can ask it privately in the Fertility Answers app on iOS and Android. So we have 15,000 answers that have already been provided. They've been read 300,000 times. It's not Google. It's personal. It's real. It's clinically accurate, scientifically proven information. Okay. Last question is Lauren's. I love this question. So she used to drink decaf coffee thinking that decaf was better. And then she read that decaf wasn't good. Now she's drinking 1 regular cup a day. I have my own perspective of why I love that question, but what have you heard in the naturopathic community about decaf versus calf?
For pregnancy?
Yes. Or in general.
Oh, yeah. So pregnancy, not going to touch that because I would definitely ask your doctor. Because it depends on if you're low risk or high risk. So you definitely want to make sure you clear with your OB-GYN. But otherwise, I always say that there can always be a little tad of caffeine in decaf coffee. And I personally think coffee is amazing for not just for energy, but for brain health. And I always say everything in moderation. So I think that if you can have it in moderation, even as you're trying to conceive, that's okay. One thing I noticed that seems to be causing adverse effects is when you cut everything out, wine, coffee, tea, sugar. It's like
Too
that's
much. So
It's too
extreme.
much. So my opinion is yes to coffee, but
Yeah.
I would say you want to always clear it with your doctor who you're
Right.
working with, and in everything in moderation.
Yeah. So she probably clued into the same thing that I clued into, which is, the controversy around decaf coffee is actually more processed.
Oh,
You
really?
go through more chemical processing to pull the caffeine out.
Oh,
And so it's like, what's the point?
I love that.
Right. And I love that perspective too. I mean, it's kind of like I couldn't breastfeed my son, you guys, because I'm a breast cancer survivor. So I made homemade formula. And people thought, like, why would you go through the effort? And it's like, well, I don't think Nestle can provide better than I can. And, I mean, if you need Nestle, I'm all for it. It's like, whatever works for you. But that was my perspective. I was like, well, why do I want the manufacturing plant to make my child's food rather than me make it in my own kitchen? And I took it on. And if anybody wants to know about that, I'm happy to talk about it another time. We do have two other questions if we can go over just like for a tad before Dante starts freaking out. So there's a Lupron question, Aja Marie, that's going to be for one of our IVF conversations. So I'm going to punt that to the app. If you can hop on the app and ask it. We have over 400 board certified professionals who can answer that question right in the Fertility Answers app. You just have to fill out a super quick health survey so that they know the context with which to answer, like how old are you? How, are they day 3, day 5 embryos, et cetera. And then she asked another question, which is transferring on Thursday. She's been taking all her prenatal vitamins and the L-arginine vitamins. Should she continue taking them through her 2-week wait? That's a great question.
Supplements.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Typically you want to stop everything during your 2-week wait.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. That's it for today, everybody. We love being here for you. It's so good to see you. Big hugs. I miss you so much. Hopefully in person soon. I hope. And we'll see everybody. I think I have 2 more episodes so hold on. They can hear that for just 1 sec. We're just wrapping up. That's Dante. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.